Hi, this is Mrs. D, and I just wanted to go through some of the basics getting started with code. So we're not going to talk about the screen. We're just going to talk about some things that we can do right off the bat so we can start thinking about what code does. So the first thing that we can do is we can do something called a console log. And what console log tells the computer to do is it tells the computer to print something out in what's called the console. And the console is down here. It's a test space for someone that's developing something on the computer. So if we copy let me copy the code. If we copy something, and you can copy anything from the internet as long as it says console log, it should print it down below. So this is what it looks like. Let me move this post-it out of the way. This is what it looks like. Let's talk about it. This is the command. Console log is how we command it. We want to print a string. We want to print something only once, so it's just a string that we're talking about. So anything that is inside the parentheses and inside the quotes would get printed. So we need the ellipses here, or the parentheses, and then we need the quotes. And then when you tell a computer you're done, you tell the computer you're done with a semicolon, which is right here on the end. So if we reset it and we run it, you can see prints to the console shows up. So then let's print it again, and let's take the quotes away and see what happens. So now it says the same thing, I just forgot the quotes. And you see I'm already getting a red thing. So it says expected this and saw a 2, and it's missing a semicolon. So it's looking at this and it thinks prints is a thing. And so it wants the ellipses to be right here. What's really happening is it's just broken. It's not going to run. And that's because it doesn't have any quotes around it. As soon as we have the quotes back, we can reset it and it's just going to print it twice. Okay, so that's how console log works. And if you want to print something, it has to be inside those ellipses and it has to be inside the quotes. So we can say any string of letters and numbers and quotes. So we run it, and we see down here that it printed both of them, and it's just going to keep feeding. So this could be as long as we wanted. The second line could be as long as we wanted, and it would just print it down below. So you could just put a bunch of S's together. For numbers, we don't always need the quotes. So a computer sees a number as two possible things. A number could be a number, or a number could actually be a string. And it depends on how you want to use it. So in this case, we're not going to put quotes around the 7, and let's see what happens. So since it's a number by itself, that 7 is going to print. Now if I did spaces between the number, look what's happening. You see this? So it only wants one thing in there unless I do something else. So if I wanted to console log just the 7, I would say console log 7. If I wanted to console log more than a 7, 2 7s, let's see what happens there. So now it's just adding them. It's saying 14. So let's copy this line. And let's treat 7 now like it's a string instead of numbers, because I just wanted to print these 7s as they are. So we're saying don't add them up. Don't pretend like it's math. So we're using them in a string. So now we have 7 in quotes and then the little plus and 7 in quotes. So let's reset it. Let's run it. And we get 7 and 7. If I wanted a space between those, I could add a space inside one of the quotes. And then the 7s are spaced out. And I could change this one to the word 7. And now it says 7 7. So we can add pluses in there to combine. It's called concatenation. Let me write that down. And that brings me to another point. If you want to comment something, you put 2 slashes in the beginning, and then the computer just ignores that line. So if you want to leave yourself a note about something, you would put 2 hashes. If you broke it, if you broke your code and it wasn't working, you could put these 2 slashes in front of the line that was broken, and then maybe you could continue to work even though that part was broken. If I wanted to console log a string without quotes, we've already done this, and I just wanted to say yes, It's already telling me, uh-oh, something's wrong. It's showing me this triangle that says yes hasn't been declared yet. So anything that we say without quotes, it's looking for a name of something. So let's try this again. So I could declare a variable, var yes, equals, and then I can make that a string, and I could put a semicolon there. So whatever I say is inside this variable, whatever I say is inside, is going to print. It's not going to print the word yes, it's going to print what's inside yes. So I could change this to no, just to be super confusing. So I want it to console log yes, but what's inside the yes is a no. So it prints a no. So we can use variables and console log together. So again, the 2 slashes comment out the code. And then if code is broken, you can comment it out. So let's try that. So if I have console no, or I wrote non, console log no, and I reset and I run it, it's broken. And if I don't know why it's broken, I can just be like, you know what, I'm going to come back to that later. Figure out why this no isn't working. I can just comment it out. Another thing we can do from the beginning is we can have a prompt. And the prompt is just, it's already programmed into JavaScript to make a box pop up. So we could say, prompt, what is your favorite number? So now if I run it, all these things are going to print down below. But before that happens, it's asking, what is your favorite number? So I'll say 7. Okay. It didn't do anything with that information. It printed the 7s from up here. We got a 14 and the 7, 7, right? So these 7s, but nothing printed down there. So the prompt doesn't save anywhere unless you tell it to save. Let's write that down. So I could also use a variable to save information. So let's see how this works now. So now I have just a regular prompt, what is your favorite number? And then I'm using a prompt, what is your favorite color, inside the variable user input. Then I'm saying console log user input. So let's see what happens. So it says, what is your favorite number? I'm going to say 8 this time. I hit OK. What is your favorite color? I'll say red. And I hit OK. The 8, look down here, the 8 never. Okay, sorry for that interruption. Okay, so I have user input on line 13, and it says equals prompt, what is your favorite color? And that console logs user input. Well, we could use the variable twice, so I could write it up here too. So now it's there, and then I could console log user input. So now I'm using the same variable. I've got the same little container. The first time I put in the container, it's what is your favorite number. Second time I put in the container, what is your favorite color? Let's see what happens. So what is my favorite number? I'm going to say 8. Hit OK. What is your favorite color? Red. Hit OK. So the 8 and the red printed after I did all that. So what's in it now? Is the 8 still there? No. The 8 has been removed. In fact, it was replaced by the red because I set it to the same user input. Now, one of the ways you can deal with that is just have another variable, right? So I could have user input 2 here, and then both of the variables are still saved in the computer because they're saved in 2 different containers. This is one container, and this is the other container. So let's reset it and run it. What is your favorite number? I'll go 9. What's your favorite color? Let's say yellow. So it has 9 in yellow right there. And then I could go back and I could console log this variable still because it's still in the program. And I could do this one again because it's still inside the program. So as long as you're running inside the program, we could print that as many times as we wanted. So you see it's printing it over and over again. So those 2 variables, those 2 containers exist for as long as this application exists. So you can keep going back to it. I could also later on say that it's equal to something else, and then it would erase whatever's inside and just throw it in the trash. You wouldn't be able to get it back. Okay, I think that's enough for our first kind of talk. And this is all things that we just typed. Next time we can do the blocks. These are all blocks that you can drag in, actually. So we used a variable right here. The variable in line 6 is this. And we had a prompt, a variable prompt. That's one block. So let's go down and see that. So there's a prompt. It's popping up a box for you. And we use console.log. So we've done a lot, but as you can see, there's a ton more blocks that we could deal with. But this is just to start us off. So let's just quickly go through. We can concatenate. That means we can add two things on the same line. And that helps. And let's actually do that one more time, because I want to show you something else. No, I don't want the dictionary right now. All right. So we had up here 7 and 7. But let's change the 7 and 7 to the variables and see what happens when we just do variables. So we're going to console log. We're going to console log user input and that's a little plus, and then user input 2. So that's a really important name for the variable, because now I know that it's the user that's putting in that information. And if I came back to this code later, I'd be like, oh, that's information that the user would put in. So down here now we're going to add it together. We're going to reset it and run it. And see down here at the bottom it says 9 yellow. And if I wanted a space in there because you're feeling neurotic, I would have to have 2 pluses and then type in a little space. It's something I always forget to do when I do it the first time. But then if we run it, there it is, 9 space yellow. So it's there. It's treating it like a string, because that's what a prompt does. If we wanted it to be something else, we would have to prompt for a number, and that is a different command for the computer. Okay, that should be everything for you to start with. Next time we'll start talking about how to get that information onto the phone over here so that it could be an actual app instead of just playing with it in the developer space.